You have an incredible array of professionals that surround you through UCSD, and I want to make sure everybody was reminded of that. Heidi Klimpel with the estate planning, Ryan Hislop on the wealth management side, and I just saw Jamie Shapiro in terms of senior move management. All of those people, we come into contact, and you really need them as your team so that you are getting the right information at the right time to make sure that you're getting everything is fulfilling what you want to do. So I see it says senior real estate options. And as I was getting ready for this presentation today, I am going to change it for the next time to senior lifestyle options, because that's really what this is all about. For those that take the demographics into stride, 1946 was the year the baby boomer era started. So we are approaching about 2 years away from the first baby boomers turning 80 years of age. And my little soapbox at the beginning of this, before I go into the detail, and I think it's very important, there's a bell curve to life. And I'm almost 68 years of age. And I know what I'm willing to do now. And when I'm 70 is not what I'm going to be willing to do when I'm 80. Generally, yes, we have 95-year-olds that are running marathons. I get it. But I want you to take this time to be prepared for life and living life to its fullest, so that whether you age in place in your home, whether you decide to move to another city and be with closer to children and grandchildren, or you decide to put a dwelling unit on your property so your children and grandchildren can come live in your house, and you move to the smaller dwelling unit in your backyard, or whatever the case may be, you want to, what we call right size, you want to move to a smaller home, maybe with no stairs, or you want to move to a condo so you don't have to worry about the yard and the roof and all those things, or you want to move to a senior living community. All of those things need planning. They all have tax implications. They all have lifestyle implications. They all have family dynamic implications. So this is a lifestyle presentation. I'm going to move forward. Oh, did it not work? Why is that not working? Oh, there we go. Just have to hit it harder. So Greenwald Realty team is here in San Diego. I've been in this space for 15 years now, and we have a team of 5 of us that will really be your go-to folks if you decide that you want to explore the possibility of looking at other real estate options. We are happy at no cost to come to your home and provide you all sorts of information as to what is out there, what's coming, what's present, from anywhere in San Diego County up into Orange County and Riverside County, as to what are some of your options in terms of your real estate, in terms of the housing options and lifestyle options. And we're really excited about where we're growing, and we're really excited about what we're doing right now. So enjoy life. It has an expiration date. Nobody, as they say, I mean, it's the joke is that, it's a 100% death rate in the state of California. We all hope that we're going to live 20, 25 more healthy years. If you're 70 years old, you have a good possibility of getting into those mid to late 90s. It's how you live those last 20 years in terms of enjoyment and fulfillment and having friends. There's 2,500 members of the UCSD Retirement Association, and maybe there's 8 of you on this Zoom meeting. So that means there's 2,400 and plus other people that need to get this information, whether it's from me or other sources. I just hate to see people not understand their housing options or their living options, because their world is shrinking. As we age, our world shrinks. And the goal of this presentation is to expand your horizons way beyond La Jolla and maybe wherever you live, so that you know what's out there. So the journey, nobody wakes up one morning and going, yippee, I am now 85 years old, or I'm 80 years old, or 70, whatever it is. Nobody wakes up and goes, well, they may go because they're alive. But in terms of their housing, most people want to age in place. Most people want to, and I understand that totally. We all want to stay in our home. We've lived in there. Some of you may have lived in your home 40. I've dealt with people that have lived in their home 60 plus years in San Diego, 70 years in San Diego. They grew up in the home, they inherited it from their parents, and they lived there their whole lives. So it's an initial consultation of what you want to do. What are your goals? What are your objectives? What are your dreams as you age? Is it staying in your home? Well, let's have a safety review of your home. The Greenwald Realty team has resources, lots of resources. One of them being a construction company, a build company that will come in and assess the safety of your home. Today, through technology, there are so many options to make your home that you're living in now as safe as possible from the number one reason you're ever going to have to move from that home, and that's a fall. So if we can think about having some automatic lights when you get out of bed in the 2 in the morning to go to the bathroom, and some lights maybe near the floor can come on, and you get rid of the area rugs between the bed and the bathroom, so there's possibility of no tripping and falling, or cabinets or lighting or plumbing. Everything can be so automated today, good or bad or indifferent, with however you feel about technology, that you don't have to worry about lights coming on. You don't have to, reaching for the keys while you're turning on the lights, while you're carrying the groceries inside, lead to fall. So how do we prevent that? There are great options for you. Home inspections. I'm going to tell you a story that's hard to talk about, because we got called out on a case. When I say case, somebody had passed away. The sister was a successor trustee, and she was trusted to sell her brother's real estate. When we met her at the home of her brother, she was in full hazmat suit for somebody. Her brother was only in his, I think, late 60s. And again, I know that doesn't apply to anybody on this call, but I guarantee you know somebody whose world is shrunk. They're not getting out. They're not letting anybody into their home. And that home could become a hoarder and could become a health and safety risk for that person, because they are deferring maintenance every day. So a home inspection is something that you can do now, just like you have a tune-up in your car. You go to the doctor for an exam, do the same thing for your home once a year, to make, if there's little problems now, we can address them cheaply and expeditiously, rather than waiting for a big problem to happen later, when you really are maybe you're forced into a move situation and things like that. So that's that first three part of I call it the caterpillar, and then we'll move forward. Yes, I do have a podcast. It's on Spotify and Apple. And actually, one of the participants of the podcast was a UCSD. The person who was on the podcast is the daughter of a UCSD, Retirement Association, talking about the family dynamics of her uncle and her family, and what to do about mom. It's a great podcast. There's actually two of them on the podcast. Today's presentation will focus on right sizing and senior community. So again, lifestyle options. Do you want to stay in your home? Is it the best place for you to be? Or right sizing to a smaller home, or the incredible array of senior community living that we have here in San Diego County and all over the country. A sidebar story, my wife and I were in Italy. I mean, I've never been. Tuscany was unbelievable. We had a great time, obviously, doing what you do in Tuscany, but it was a tour group, and most of the people on the tour were in their 70s. And I got to talk to them because they found out what I do for a living. they wanted, and these were people from Pennsylvania and Florida and nobody from California. And I got to have a whole presentation for them before one of our dinners on senior community living. So I was there over in Italy doing my thing. Who knew? So what are your options? Aging in place, right sizing versus downsizing, senior communities, and then home share. And again, if you have the lot ability to put on an auxiliary dwelling unit, that is the hottest ticket in town. And we have a resource here in San Diego that is specialist in telling you what can and cannot be done through each municipality. The city of San Diego is different than Poway, is different than Encinitas, is different than Chula Vista. And you really have to have an expert to guide you through what size, what shape of anything that you can build in your backyard if you want to add a dwelling unit onto your property. It's again that we want, obviously the state of California is pushing this to get more housing in play. So we have aging in place, we have care, financial and legal, housing options, the stuff. And again, I'm going to overlap a little bit about what Jamie's going to talk about, and I'll add my 2 cents into that, the move and then selling a home. So and again, I'm not going to go into this a lot, but again, the most common accidents experienced by seniors who live independently are falls. That is the number one. And broken hip, I'm sure you have a friend. I'm sure you know somebody. I'm sure that you know somebody who had to go into skilled nursing. They go into skilled nursing. They did not attend these presentations that UCSD offers. They did not go on senior tours. Their children live out of town, and now chaos reigns because the Medicare and the doctor saying, Miss Jones, you will not have the physical capability of going back into your home. So and you only have 20 days in skilled nursing, and then we are kicking you out. And I think a lot of you have long-term care, so that's a huge plus. Falls. So now what do we do? And then chaos reigns. So if we are being proactive with these presentations, and maybe going on a senior tour or two, you are going to stay in control of where you may want to go live if you cannot go back to your home. And there's always bringing in home care. The cost of moving to a senior community versus the cost of 24/7 home care, and I'm talking home care that's through an agency, is extremely different. So be aware of that situation. Be aware of that. Warning signs. Again, we talked about loose area rugs, installing what we call balance bars in certain areas of the home. That is not if you ever go to sell it today, that is really not a detriment, because the demographics of people, again, as I say, the baby boomers are turning 80. So making your home pleasant for the aging population is not a detriment to selling your home down the road. And again, that's a kind of an ugly, what we call balance bar there. But now there are very designer-oriented finishes that you can place in your home in cabinets and shelves and lighting and everything else, including the bathroom, that will make your home just as beautiful as it is today. So don't worry about that you're going to look like an old age home if you put in balance bars. That's not true anymore. I do recommend the AARP Home Fit Guide. It's a very lengthy. If you want to email me or send me email me after this, and I can send you a link to it. It's the AARP Home Fit Guide. It's many pages long, and it goes room by room, drawer by drawer, and you can kind of see by this slide as to what it's all about in terms of just knobs versus handles if you have arthritis, and lighting, many little things, ceiling fans to keep it cool, get the airflow going. There's just a lot of things you can do. Having a bench near the door so you can easily get in and lay things down and get access to the rest of the home. Care, aginglifecare.org. This is something I would hope you would write down if you feel inclined to explore this. Many of you have wealth. I mean, you have Ryan Hislop, you have Heidi Klimpel, you now have Jamie Shapiro, you have me. I would add this to your repertoire. I think Rebecca Montoya comes in and speaks at UCSD. I don't want to say that for a fact, but I think I saw her on the agenda. Aging life care. I cannot stress this more than anything else I'm going to talk about. When you go into the hospital, when you go see your doctor, are you a doctor? Are you an expert in healthcare? Unless you are a doctor listening to me, we have to have an advocate for our healthcare. Some people can rely on their children to be that advocate. Some kind of people can rely on their spouse to be that advocate. But if you don't feel that family member is strong enough to really go toe to toe with the healthcare system, which is very difficult, aging life care, these are people that will go to bat for you in the healthcare system. If you need PT, if you need a certain drug, or if you need to know what your drug interactions are, if you need to really understand what's going on with what the doctor says, what the doctor's prescribing, what the nurses are telling you, these are people that are professionals to be your advocate day to day, moment by moment. If there's whether it's a healthcare crisis or not, they are there for you. And there are several here in San Diego County. I cannot stress the importance of having a healthcare advocate in today's very complicated Medicare world. I'm one of them. You get that booklet, it's 500 pages thick. Try to make heads or tails out of it. When you go to the doctor, try to make heads or tails of what they're telling you. All of those things. AgingLifeCare.org. Financial and legal. I could spend 5 days just on this. Understand capital gains. If you're going to sell your home, understand if you've lived in that home a long time, it's worth many 20 times more than what you paid for it. There are capital gains on the sale of a personal residence. There are ways to minimize that gain. There are exclusions to that gain. But if you have a tax professional, talk to the tax professional. If you want to call me, I can go into great detail about it. And I'm happy to do that. I was a CPA 45 years ago, so I know enough. And the ways to minimize it then. Cash flow, life expectancy. You're 70, 75 years old today. You're going to live to 95, maybe 100, really? And that's probably what life expectancy. Do you have the cash flow to be able to afford in-home care? In 24/7 in-home care with an agency is probably $20,000 to $25,000 a month. If you have somebody who's been impacted by Alzheimer's and you're trying to keep that person at home and you're going to try to have 24/7 care, that's a very, first of all, I'm not a big advocate of that because that just takes away from you. You got to separate that, you got to separate that. I mean, I've lived it. You got to separate because you want to be a spouse to that person, not a caregiver for that person. Different topic. Prop 19. That has to do with property taxes. If you have multiple properties and you want to have your kids inherit those properties, that's great. But understand that the kids are going to they are not going to be able to inherit your property tax basis. The only way this works is if your child inherits the property and then they have to live in that property to be able to have the property tax basis carry over generationally. Step up in basis. This has to do with let's say husband and wife lived in the home for 50 years. It's gone up. They bought it for $200,000-300,000. Now it's worth $4 million. Let's say $2 million. And what happens is if it's properly titled in your trust through Heidi Klimpel, then once one spouse passes, the first spouse passes away, and you decide that you do not want to maintain this large home, because of that first death of a spouse, you have what they call a step up in basis to current fair market value to allow you to then sell the property with no capital gains. So we've eliminated the capital gains scenario upon that first passing. Financial resources. Just understand there are a lot of people that want to have financial resources to be able to support you going through this, and understand cash flow and taxes and all how they all interplay. Housing options. Well, we're back. Take a cruise. For those that live near the downtown area, you'll probably see 1 or 2 cruise ships in San Diego almost every day now. But pre-COVID, and maybe that's all back now, there are people that are living. I do have clients that are living in senior. Well, they go to a senior. They don't want the big house. They sell the house. They move into a senior community here in San Diego County, but they're actually on a cruise ship about 200 days a year. And then they live in the senior community, obviously the balance of the year, because they just don't want to deal with maintenance of anything. And they're cruising around. Obviously, there are doctors on board these cruise ships, and that's the way they're doing life. Not a bad deal. Home share. That's, maybe 2 widows get together and say, hey, let's get together and live together. Obviously, that can be legally challenging when obviously any 2 people get together to do any contractual work, whether it's verbal or written. What's going to happen what's going to happen when something, somebody passes, somebody gets ill, somebody can't perform, they need home care. What's going to happen in those situations? It certainly can be done, but certainly have a written plan for the what ifs that are going to happen. And then moving in with relatives. We all know about that one. Housing options. We have so many options here in San Diego. For those that have been on the tours, you're getting a really, obviously a firsthand glance as to what all the options are. Age restricted only, and then we have independent, assisted, memory care, and so forth. And so age restricted only, Ocean Hills, and you can read the list. I don't have to read it, but these are areas where you own the property. It's your home. You are living independently. It's just like you live in your home today, except the restrictions is everybody within the boundaries of this community must be 55 or older. At least one person has to be 55. Some of them restricted to both being 55. Some of them say the spouse, if there's a husband and wife, one of them have to be over 55. You can't have your children moving in with you that are, let's say, less than 55 they can come to visit, but they can't have an extended stay with you. So Ocean Hills is about 1,600 homes up in the Oceanside area. Actually, I have a listing there right now as we speak. Golf course, 20,000 square foot clubhouse, pickleball, whatever you want, they've got. It is spectacular. High HOA fees, about $600 a month, but you get everything, golf, Parcheesi, tours, everything's involved. Bernardo Oaks and Seven Oaks, those are older communities. Most of those homes were built in the 70s and 80s. Some of them are single-family detached homes. Some of them are condominiums, and some of them are twin homes, a whole array of types homes. Pacific Regents is actually very much of a hybrid. It's right there on Nobel in the UTC area, where you own it's a condominium living, you own the condo, but they also have senior community lifestyles where you have community group meals, access, and things like that. Rancho Carlsbad is it's a kind of a manufactured home sitting, and you own the lot, so it's not where you pay monthly rent to live there. You own the manufactured home that sits on the property. Certainly there are 55 plus apartments all over San Diego. Oceana, and then I think I have the Junipers. So this is the grading right as we speak. This is the Junipers. For those that live near the 15 freeway, I'm sure you see all that grading. It used to be a golf course. It's in Carmel Valley area, right off the 15 and Ted Williams Parkway. This is totally brand new, totally. I think there are maybe models about to be open, but this will be a 55 plus community with all kinds of different floor plans, condos, single family detached, certainly, all the benefits. And you can even see a dog park there. So that's totally a brand new. If you're considering this, then you want to sell your home, this is where it comes back to play: is what are the capital gains implications? I can help you with that. We can get you what they call a net sheet for how much you would net out of the sale of your home after capital gains, after the cost of selling your home, so that you can go into the Lennar and say, here's my plan. What do you have to offer me? Independent and assisted living communities. Some of you have taken tours of these, and this is not all inclusive. This is just some of the brand names that are out throughout San Diego. In terms of UCSD proximity, Wesley Palms is in the PB area. Merrill Gardens has a community on Bankers Hill, if anybody's interested in that. Belmont Village just opened up a community right there on Nobel. So again, what is it that you need to know? If you are to go, first of all, I recommend, if you've gone on the tour with us, continue to go on the tour, but I also recommend go on individual tours, call up the community of interest, arrange for a tour, because they'll feed, as I've told everybody, they have gourmet chefs. They'll feed you lunch, dinner, whatever you want. Yes, you may get on an email drip thing, they may call you, but at least you're getting out there and understanding what's going on. Change your mindset from going, I'm going to go visit some old age home, versus I'm going to go visit a cruise ship in dry dock, or I'm going to go see model homes. Just like when you were 20, 30, and 40 and you bought your first home, you went to visit model homes, maybe built by Baldwin or Kaufman and Broad or Lennar or Toll Brothers. It's the same thing here. They're going to have model apartments for you to visit so you can get an idea of lifestyle. The other mindset change is people go, well, I can't go from 2,500 square feet to 800 square foot apartment. I just can't do it. I can't live like that. Well, again, different mindset. You live in a home, you maybe have a quarter acre lot, maybe you have a half acre lot, maybe you have an acre lot. But I tell you, if you move to some of these communities, they're sitting on 20 acres. They're sitting on more. They're sitting on 8 acres, 10 acres, 30 acres of land. So now that whole property is yours to meander around and enjoy. So just a little different mindset of how you look at moving to a senior community changes how you perceive it. Casa de Manana, those down in La Jolla, we just had a tour of that. Silvergate has a fairly new community over in the Rancho Bernardo area. So again, getting back to visiting them, some of the questions, and I just can't get over how thrilled I am is when people come on the tours and they ask the great questions. What is the cost? Is that cost only include independent living? What happens if I do need some aid in dressing and getting up in the morning and taking taking medications? What is the additional cost for if I need to have assistance if I'm living in the community? So again, they're going to give you the base price as independent. I don't need any help. And then you want to know about the add-ons. You want to know about the meal plan. You want to know all of those things. How many meals do I get included? You also want to know can I stay in my apartment the rest of my life? Or if I go in independent living, do I then have to move apartments to assisted living if I all of a sudden require daily assistance in daily living? Questions to ask. So I think there's actually a list that we created for you that I'm sure Vanya has access to, that she can provide you, that we actually propose. I'm sure it's on the website, of all the questions to ask. A yearly increase in rent. Yes, for those that have been on the tours, and for those that the monthly increases used to be pre-COVID about 2 or 3% a year in the monthly rent to live in these communities. The last 2 years, some of those yearly increases have been 7 to 12 and up percent. obviously with inflation and everything like that. Hopefully we're getting back to the 2 or 3% yearly increases. Memory care speaks for itself. I will just say, like that one in the middle, Silverado. There's a community in Encinitas. There's a community in Escondido. I have a family member was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at 60 years of age. Hard to talk about. He lived with his wife until a little over a year ago, got placed in a senior community that was not the right fit, and then was moved to Silverado. Silverado is a single story community with a lot of open space. If you have somebody or know somebody that must move to a memory care community, do not. This is another one of my. I am very much against the high-rise senior care community, because people with Alzheimer's need to be able to walk. A lot of them need to walk. They need to move around. They don't like to feel enclosed. And in a high-rise community, they really can't get off that floor. But in like a Silverado, which is the one in Escondido, yes, it doesn't look like a 5-star hotel, but the care is amazing. And this gentleman is able to walk. He can actually go outside with help and walk around the grounds, and he can walk around the floors, and it's wide open aisles, things like that. So again, if you have any questions on that, I don't do placement, but I'm happy to talk about it. CCRC, Continuing Care Retirement Community. This is truly lifestyle option. The V, White Sands, the Costa Glen, Scripps Glen, Casa de las Campanas, and Federica Manor. This is where you have all 4 levels of care on one campus. You have independent living, assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing. All must be on the campus. So Continuing Care Retirement Community. What the difference is, it's not a month, it's a month to month. You do pay month to month, but there's a buy-in or an upfront substantial deposit. It's kind of like a life insurance policy where you're gonna write a check to, let's call Scripps Glen. I'm very familiar with them. You're going to write a check, maybe $1 million check, to say, here's Scripps Glen. I'm going to move in here. You're going to take care of me the rest of my life. And then upon your passing, the current contract provides your beneficiaries, your heirs, 75% of that initial deposit. Again, it's a lengthy contract. Have a lawyer review it with you. There's a lot. Again, I'm not an attorney. But I always recommend that kind of contract. Take it to your attorney and have them read it, have him or her read it over, have Heidi read it over as well. So that's the CCRC. Some of the nuances, differences, again, the monthly rental should not be as high as a month to month, because you've already given that lump sum. If you go from independent to skilled nursing, or you go from independent to assisted living, the month to month should not be ratcheted up. Again, because you've given that community a large initial deposit as a life insurance policy to move forward on. So if happy to point you in the right direction of people within these communities who will take you on the tour, answer your individual questions as to how it all works. One of the other things, like memory care, many memory care communities are totally full. If you have somebody you're concerned about, at least get on their waiting list. Many of these communities have a huge waiting list for 2-bedroom apartments. They have a lot of studios and they may have studios and 1-bedroom apartments. But the baby boomers, which we are, who are now the ones moving into these communities, want 2 bedrooms, because we want to have the computers and we want to have. So we think very different than the greatest generation, my parents, in terms of when they moved into senior communities, they didn't have all the social media computer issues. that we have today. So they were pretty much happy with the 1 bedrooms. So now the 2 bedrooms in many of these communities, they just don't have enough of. So if you are interested in moving into a particular community and you know this is where you want to be, are you willing to move into the community and take a 1 bedroom, knowing that you're going to be on the highest priority when a 2 bedroom opens up? And that's just the shuffling, and that's the way it is. So again, La Costa Glen, Scripps Glen, they have these incredible villas. I mean, you would think you're in, it's like a single family home setting, but they're all booked. So would you be willing to go to more of an apartment style at Scripps Glen or La Costa Glen, get on their priority list? So if the villa were to open up, they would come to you before they would go to anybody who does not live in that community. I see questions coming up, so I will get to it at the end. Board and care. I've got one more thing about CCRCs versus month to month. Generally speaking, the move-in age of a CCRC is going to be low to mid 70s. The move-in age of an apartment month to month in general is going to be higher, more like low 80s. Just because if you're going to write somebody a check for $1 million, you want to kind of know that you're going to be there for a while. So the general age, the average age is going to be lower in a CCRC than a month-to-month. Board and care. These are single-family detached homes, hundreds of them throughout San Diego County. They most likely have 4 or 5 bedrooms, single-story homes. There's really no socialization. There's not a cruise ship and dry dock like all those other communities I talked about. This is really more towards the end of life scenario where you just want to have comfort and more like 24/7 care right outside your door. Some of these will allow for 1 person in a room. Most of them are 2 people per room at a boarding care. Some of them, there are beautiful, beautiful boarding cares. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to have the socialization, and it's definitely not independent living. What to do with all the stuff? Jamie Shapiro is going to do that. I'm not going to go through it at length, but here's my number one thing. Holidays are upon us. Families coming into town. Invite all your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, invite everybody over. And you see the bottom, the sticky notes party. Go out and get on Amazon or go to Staples if they're still around and get the little stickies, these little stickies, the yellow, the green, the blue, the pink, and give them to your relatives and say, okay, go around and put a sticky on what you would like to have now. That is the first step of the emotional detachment or the emotional thrill, let me put it that way, of starting to get rid or distribute your stuff. We all have too much stuff. And I hate to tell you, on eBay and all that, you're not going to get anywhere near what you think you paid for that when you went to Europe, when you went to China, when you went to Japan, and you went to wherever you've been, South America, and collected incredible, beautiful artifacts and artwork and paintings and China and all that. It's not going to get that kind of money on the open market. We do manage estate sales and all that type of stuff. So, but my point is you're not moving for 5 to 10. You're not moving from your home for 5 or 10 years. So you have time to distribute your stuff to the people that you would like to see get it while you are alive and healthy and active, and see them enjoy it. And it gets you a great thrill. And so it's a fun party type thing. And it gets you in the mode of starting to distribute your personal items that you would want to distribute anyway, in terms of what you may want to eventually take to a senior living community or down if you right size. And again, you get the thrill of seeing what other people are excited, what other your relatives are excited about. Doesn't have to be all relatives. It can be friends. Maybe you went on a trip to Europe together with some friends and you brought home something that your best friend has always loved. And hey, here it is, because I don't need it anymore. I haven't, whatever it is. So think about realistic expectations of giving things away now. And you just don't want to get into a fight with family as to, what to take and all that kind of stuff. So do it now and get the stickies out there now. And if two people want the same thing, well, then start that discussion now, because one of the great one of all estate litigating attorneys, they make a living over when mom and dad pass away, and the children are fighting over literally a teddy bear, and they will go to battle over the emotional attachment to a inanimate object just because they're kind of ticked off at their sibling. So don't think it's not going to happen. It does. For 15 years, I can tell you stories every day. So do it now, get it out in the open, and have fun and doing it. And then Jamie Shapiro will go into great detail about that when she comes and speaks. The move, there is a solution. Like I said, give things away now. NASM, that's what Jamie is part of. She is part of the National Association of Senior Move Managers, and she can talk about what she does. If you're moving out of state, she can help you. If you are, she can help you in so many ways. Estate sales, be very understanding. A sale in your home, you cannot be living. You can have a garage sale while you live in your home for sure, but if you're going to do an estate sale on your property, you have to be out of that property. So it's the move first concept, and then do the estate sale. I want to go back real quick to this, CCRCs. They will allow, if you're going to move to any of these communities, they will work with you to say, come move in first. Let's say you're moving in on January 1st, 2024. Move in first. We will give you 90 to 120 days after you sign the contract to sell your home, because you will get a lot more money for your home if it's you move. We get all your personal property out of the home. You allow us to come in and stage the home. Maybe we do a painting and some refurbishing work, but you don't have to give them that money, that $700,000, that $1 million day one you sign the contract. As long as you have a listing contract to sell your home, supposedly that's where the money's coming from, they will give you 90 to 120 days to get your home on the market, sell your home, and then give them that large deposit money. And then we will do a lot of fronting as a real estate group. We have the capital to front the money to do the refurbishing. So you're not out of pocket anything until the close of the escrow. We would get reimbursed for the capital put out to, let's say, paint, flooring, whatever it may be, some minor, let's say some fixes and updates. Estate sale, charitable giving, others. The charities, be really careful of them. They say they will take things, but they don't take us nowhere near pre-COVID as to what the charities will take anymore. Listing your home, selling your home, living in your home and prepping for sale, two very different things. I know you have that chair right there where you always want it, but if that chair is blocking the walkway to an exit to the backyard, we're going to move that chair. Family photos. We don't mind 1 or 2 or 3 family photos, but people that have the whole hallway of family photos, we're probably going to talk about taking some of those down. So it's like anything else. You've been in model homes. That's what we want to make your home. If you are going to sell it, we want to make it look like a model home where the buyer is going to go, holy smoke, I got to have this place, versus living in a home is very different from our day-to-day, and we all understand that. Knowledge plus facts equal leverage. I'm a big proponent when we do sell a home, whoever that may be, that you keep leverage on your side of the equation. Don't get blindsided by buyers. There's a saying in real estate, buyers are liars. Now, hopefully that's not true with anybody on this, I'm sure. But they will say things that kind of get you hooked, and then they don't fulfill their promises during the escrow. And then now you're kind of engaged with them in the sense of you want to get this done. So keep all the leverage on your side by knowing what's going on in your home prior to listing the home. That way, because the buyer is going to do a home inspection, and you can say, hey, here's my home inspection. You can take it and run with it because I already know what's going on. And you can decide, I am not going to fix the leaky faucet. I am not going to termite the house. I am not going to do this, or I will do this, depending on the price the buyer offers you. So it's all about talking this through as to what will generate you the most money if you do decide to sell the home. And that's a discussion. Maximize price, curb appeal, fresh and bright, minimalist, depersonalize, and staging. We try to take your emotions out of it and get the buyer's emotions fully engaged in it. Again, the most emotional thing people do besides children is buying and selling real estate. So our goal is to keep everybody on the selling side. If you're the selling, to keep everything not emotion free, because I understand you love your home, but to keep it financial, keep the finances as number one because you want to net the most money. But we totally want to turn on the jets for the buyer to get them emotionally engaged so that they bid up the price going through the process. That's all a lot of psychology on home buying and selling, as you well know. So I'm going to go to chat. I joined late. Are the slides available, or will they be? I assume they are. Do you want to? Okay. The audio is breaking up during the memory care. Any particular questions on the memory care? Memory care, to go back to that, those communities on that slide are 100% memory care. They don't offer there's nothing else going on in those communities. I talked about Silverado, and that I would not, if you are looking to place somebody in memory care, I would not place somebody in a high-rise senior memory care community where that person is living on the 4th or 5th floor and they can't get out. They can't escape. If you want to, in the harshest terms, they can't escape living on that floor. They need room. Memory care people a lot of them are walkers, and they need the ability to walk and release themselves a little bit in terms of energy. So just my experience working with memory care. Anything else? It's a lot to cover in 50 minutes. I'm always around for questions. Email me. This is my passion for 15 years, UCSD. And we're already planning. I know some community tours spring of next year, but don't wait. If you don't want to wait for that, feel free to call me and I can set you up with the marketing director at any community in San Diego. If you want to do the one-on-one, or if you want to bring somebody. Elsie? You want to type in your...
You have to unmute yourself, Elsie.
Okay. There's a facility. Hello.
Yes.
There's a facility in Chula Vista. It's St. Paul's. It's in East Palomar. I just wonder what kind of facility is that. I have a friend who lives there, and it seems that there's some sort of transition arrangement where the first floor for elderly people who has Alzheimer's or memory issues, and they only have 3 stories, and the 3rd floor, the more independent living. Does that qualify into the CC? All right, that you were
It's not a CCRC. It would be, it sounds like, what is it? You say it's in Chula Vista. So the ones that I know in Chula Vista are Federica Manor, or either Sunrise or Westmont. I'd have the name of it again. I would have to know the name of it.
St. Paul's.
Oh, St. Paul's. Oh, St.
Yeah.
Paul.
Yes,
St. Paul's is not, St. Paul's is a month to month.
a month to month.
Not a CCRC, but they do have memory care. So they have the three. They have memory care, independent, and assisted. Very beautiful, very nice. I know exactly. I've been there several times. It's a very nice, newer community. St. Paul's does a great job, but they're not a CCRC. They're a month to month.
I see.
If that's the question. So you're month to month. So again, the question would be if your friend is an independent now and they're having memory issues, are they going to be able to provide them care to memory care?
I see. Okay.
Did that answer your question, Elsie?
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Anything else? Happy to. I can't pick on
Ron,
any.
around what age do you see people usually coming to you for these kind of different living facilities, the tours that you go on? Is there a specific age group you think people should really start thinking about it?
Well, again, the average age, I mean, again, depends on your health and depends on, what you're looking to, what your goals and lifestyles are. I'd say, the people that have come on our tour have probably been in the high 60s, low 70s to start it. Because it can be, we've worked with people 5 or 6 or 7 years, Vanya, before they decided to do anything. And a lot of them will bring their children with them. That children are in their 40s and 50s to say, dear children, when or if the time ever comes that I can, I'm in skilled nursing for whatever reason, this is where I want you to go. This is where I want to go. I want to go to this community based on my history of working with them. So I would recommend, again, in the bell curve scenario, if you're 70, just go start looking at them. I mean, certainly you may not go ever. I mean, you may live to 105, but just have fun with it. So I'd say at 70, maybe every couple years, take 3 or 4 tours of different communities so that if something were to happen in your later stages of life, in your 80s, then you know what you want. The idea of all of this, and thank you for the question, is to stay in control of what you want. And far too many people are now subject to the whims of either family members or the healthcare system as to where they may have to go if they can't go back to their home. So be proactive, enjoy it, eat their food, meet their people. And yes, you may get on a call list, and I get that. But so I would say 70, but I have, some of the people that go on the tour are certainly in their 60s.
Thank you, Ron. And that's a good point. When we go on these tours, I've been a couple times with you all. It's important to eat the food because that's going to be one of the options that you'll be having every day is their food. So that's important.
Okay, do you have the list of questions that Suzanne and we created that? Do you have that?
I do have that, and I can share it along with the recording once it goes out to all of our members.
Okay, because Eileen just asked about that one. So thank you. And you know what? Can you send that back to me too? Because maybe it needs a little updating. It's been a couple years.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thank you. Of
course.
That's kind of
thank you so much, Ron. I think this was incredibly useful information, and I do look forward to connecting with you later on for those tours.
Thank you, everybody. Happy holidays and happy motherhood. Yay.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.